Welcome back from the break. We will continue with our grade 12 lesson under the topic problem solving and decision making. So now we're going to start with the meaning. Like I said, this is a journey that we're taking. So we're going to start with the meaning. Right, so we are now defining problem solving. What is the meaning of problem solving? It says here, it is a process, please take that into consideration, a process of analyzing a situation to identify the strategies that can be used to change the situation. Problem solving, it requires creative thinking. So meaning you have to be able to think creatively, meaning to be able to generate better solutions. Right. And then the second point, it says problem solving is a mental process that involves problem finding. Number one, problem finding, which is the ability to identify the problem. Remember, you cannot solve a problem other than first identifying the problem, but we'll get to the steps in a second. Right. Problem solving involves problem shaping, which is the ability to break down the problem in such a way that a clear solution can be found. Remember, our main goal here is to find a solution, but now we need to accept and acknowledge that we have a problem. So this is a process, which is the ability to break down the problem in such a way that a clear solution can be found. Right, we move on to decision making. Right, the definition of decision making, it is a choice that is made by using one's judgment. A choice that is made by using one's judgment. It is also aimed at finding a solution. We are also finding a solution to a problem. However, here we are choosing the best solution or a course of action. All right, we're moving right along. We've defined, now we're going to go to the differences between decision making and problem solving. What is the difference between the two? I'm sure you heard we're talking about choices and solutions. So here it says with decision making, it is often done by a person, but not just a person, not just any person, but that person should be a member of a senior management who makes it authoritarian. So this is done by a person who is a senior manager. Right. Whereas with problem solving, these are problems that can be solved by a group or a team or an individual team member. So here it's not a senior management, or it's not in senior management, but just a group or team or an individual team member. This person is part of the team member, or of the team rather. Then with decision making, various alternatives, that's the key word, are considered before we can decide on the best one. So we're looking for various alternatives. Right, whereas with problem solving, alternative solutions are generated or they're identified, and not just identified, they are critically evaluated. We have to weigh them. We're looking at the pros and the cons, or the positives and the negatives of that solution. It is part of the decision making, is part of a problem solving cycle, as decisions need to be taken in each and every step we are taking decisions. Right, but problem solving process of analyzing a situation to identify the strategies to bring about change. Right, now in summary, this is just summarizing what I just said now. Decision making, it's done by one person, don't forget that, but problem solving, it's done by a group. Decision making, consider alternative solutions, but in problem solving, we generate the solutions. Decision making, again, it's part of the problem solving strategies, whereas problem solving, identifying solving strategies. This was just a summary of what I just said. Then now we're going to go to our steps, problem solving steps. Right, the first step is to identify the problem. So we are just listing them now, then we'll explain just now. Right, so we first identify the problem. After identifying it, you define the problem. You're going to identify possible causes or solutions to the problem. And then you select the most alternative, develop an action plan, implement the suggested solution or action plan, monitor the implementation of the solution or action plan, evaluate. Remember, when you're evaluating, you're weighing it, you're looking at the positives and the negatives of the implemented solution. And then you're going to formulate a strategy. Thereafter formulating it, we are implementing it. What does it mean to implement? We are putting it into action. Then we evaluate the strategy. Did it work? Did it not work? How can we improve and where can we improve? So this is just us listing the problem solving steps. Now we're going to go in detail. We have to discuss them. Right, like I said, the first step in solving a problem, you need to first identify the problem. So acknowledge that there is a problem. So you've acknowledged that, yes, indeed, we have a problem here in our business. But you need to identify the exact problem, not just acknowledge only, but identify the exact problem. Break down the problem into smaller parts that are easier to solve separately. The second one, we are defining the problem. When you define the problem, you need to find the causes of the problem. What causes this problem? So you name the problem by stating exactly what the problem is. And thereafter, you find different ways of defining the problem. Then we move on to the third part. We are still on defining the problem, by the way. Define the possible causes, like I've said, the causes of problems. What causes this problem that we are having? What is the nature of the problem? The nature of the problem must be very precise and clear. You gather as much information as possible so that you can establish the cause of the problem. So remember, this is the second one. We've defined it. We've defined the problem now. Now we're going to go to alternative solutions. You need to identify alternative, not just one solution, but have many solutions so that we can be able to choose one solution that we prefer. So you need to identify all the different possible solutions. Like I just said, use creative thinking strategies. Remember, I said you are using creative thinking strategies so that you can be able to generate better solutions. Focus on generating as many as possible through using creative thinking. Very important. Collect as many ideas as possible and find the best idea, or decide on one strategy to follow, because eventually you have to choose only one strategy. Thereafter, you have to evaluate alternative solutions. So you need to use critical evaluation and analytical skills to evaluate each solution. Like I said, when you're evaluating, you're looking at the pros and the cons, the positives and the negatives of a problem. You're considering the advantages and disadvantages of each alternative solution. Remember, you had to come up with different solutions. So for each and every solution that you came up with, you now need to evaluate it. What are the benefits of this and what are the challenges of using this solution or choosing this solution, and with all the other solutions that you can think of. Afterwards, you've done all that, you've evaluated all the solutions, you now need to choose the best solution. Which one will work for you? So you need to set a criteria for the best solution in terms of aspects such as time or cost or the risk involved. So if I were to go with the solutions, what are the risks involved with taking this as opposed to another solution? Identify which solution will be used. Remember, here you are choosing the best solution. You're not choosing the problem, but the solution. The best solution should match the size and resources of the business. So you have to be practical about this. If the solution is not appropriate, the business should then go back to defining the problem. This is not train smash. We're going to go back from scratch and start afresh with our problem solving steps. Right, and afterwards we need to formulate or develop an action plan or a strategy. We need to come up with a strategy. Right, when you're coming up with a strategy, you have to arrange what? The necessary resources or delegate the tasks. What is it that you're going to need in order for us to solve this or to implement the solution? Right, you need to establish a timeline for the implementation, and you need to set the deadlines to say by this day, this should have been implemented. Right, and then now we are implementing our action plan. Right, so we are putting it into action, remember. So you're going to carry out the planned action or the solutions, and then you communicate the delegated tasks or the deadlines to who? To the employees, because we're working with employees here. So these are the problem-solving steps. So after doing that, we are doing what? We now need to evaluate what? The solution or the action plan that we've taken. Remember, to evaluate, we are looking at the advantages and the disadvantages of that solution that we've taken. So now you need to assess whether the problem has been solved partially or entirely. Right. Thereafter, you monitor or test the solution or action or strategy continuously. And then if problems emerge, should there be any problems, then we must recognize and reformulate the problem for improved solutions in the future. So you must not be scared to go back from scratch and start and say, now, what is the problem? Where did you go wrong? What are the causes of the problem? So we've covered the problem solving steps. Don't forget all the problem solving steps. Don't forget the topic. This is what? It's problem solving and decision making. So we're going to go for a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to continue with our content. See you just now.